we got the XRT on the bench because we're going to go ahead and install the speed gearing that comes with it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll see how easy that is. It's Traxxas. I did take a look at the bumper. I had to drill out one of the screws. It had pulled out. So we'll get another screw in the bumper. It is really flexible, but plastic is kind of soft. So we'll see how that goes over time. It was an extremely hard hit. I have been seeing people talk about, you know, they're starting to see breakages out of this RC. And that's to be expected. Anytime you get a new toy and you want to send it, remember, it's your money you're sending. That's the whole reason I do these videos, is so I can do some sort of durability test so that you guys know what you're purchasing. Now, if you pre-ordered it before watching any of the videos, I mean, it is what it is. I do like the little bearing that's in here that helps stop the pinion gear from sliding off. That's an awesome upgrade. I think that's something very cool. But definitely spin it and make sure it's not jamming up. I do like to see that there is no dirt in the pinion area. And that's one thing that I have to say about Traxxas versus, you know, competitors out there, is that they don't cover their pinion and spur. So the pinion and spur becomes, it literally becomes like a crushing device. Rocks and debris and everything's getting in between your pinion and spur. And by having a cover on it and it in a sealed area, even though it might not keep out all debris, like sand tends to get by some of this. But even though it does that, it's still keeping the large chunks out of your gears, and your gears are going to last much longer. Now, see, that pinion is loose. Now, Traxxas does have what they call powder gears. A lot of people, it's just a pressed together metal composite gear. And I haven't had a lot of bad luck with their pinions. I run their pinions a lot. Their spur gears, I have had problems with. So it is a 20 tooth in there. It says M1 20 tooth. And there is Loctite on it. But it did back off. And that's probably from motor temp, to be quite frank. Motor temp was up there, and so the next time out, I'm prepping it for Big Bertha right now. That's what I'm doing, is I'm going to take it to a severe bash spot, and I do expect it to break. Like I said before, I think these solid links, the steering links, that's Traxxas's break point on landing on the wheels. So I do have the extended links on my other X-Max. So I will be bringing that for spare parts, because apparently the Wide Max kit, which I put on one of my X-Maxes, and I will be bringing both X-Maxes. Every time I brought the X-Maxes there, Outcast, you know, when I was testing the Outcast and the Creighton, and even the DBXLE, I was sending them off a big hill. If I would break one of those cars, I would automatically go grab my X-Max, because I knew I could, you know, have a lot more fun with that. But every time I left that area, every RC I had was broken. Usually one of the X-Maxes would survive, because I would calm down by that point and just not send it super hard. So all I'm doing now is taking the cover off for the cush drive. They are different length screws. One side has a longer screw, and one side has a shorter screw. Oh, that one fell. Oh, still have one of the long screws in there. There goes the push drive and the screw. All right. So this just slips on there. Bearing front, bearing rear, and it is well oiled, which is good to see. You can see the oil on my finger, even this gear. So we're gonna go ahead and take this pin out because it tends to fall. Leave that bearing in. These cush drives, these will eventually wear as well. But you see there's 3 screws holding on this cush drive. It's a cheap part to replace. But it's also a weak link between the drivetrain and your motor. And let's see what's in here. Is it a 54? Looks like a 50 tooth. So 50/20 is what was in there, which is good because this also came with the X-Maxes. Those 50 tooth and I think the 46 was the upgrade. So sharing the same parts is definitely good. They have some optional speed gearing. They're going to tell you not to run this on off-road. And I thought I saw a loose grub screw in here. There is. Right here. Just started into the pinion so I don't lose it. And it does have a little Loctite on it, but we're going to add red Loctite. Even with the red Loctite, they tend to get loose. Just do fit really tight when they're new. So once you get your spur gear replaced, very easy to do. We're going to go ahead and throw the pin back in this thing. We're going to slide on the other gear, and then the bearing goes on the end. And then we're going to go ahead and set this on and get the cover in. Now I normally replace these covers with the Hot Racing covers. Hot Racing sells an aluminum cover like this that really adds like support, no flex to this thing. Now this thing locks in pretty good, and I have one at X-Max that's got a stock one, and my other X-Max I run the bigger one. Long screw will drop way down. If the screw doesn't drop in, that's the wrong hole. So the 2 long screws go on the right side and the 2 short screws go on the left side. I thought they were opposite from each other. So that's easily done. And now we got the spur gear in. Now we're going to have to pop out the motor because the pinion's not, I don't think the pinion's going to go on. But we'll take a look. Going smaller and then bigger, you might be able to just leave the motor in place. And that does seem to be the case. Huh. Interesting. That does feel like that's the way it's supposed to be. But I'm going to pop the motor out anyway and check the pins. On the pin plate, it tells you what two gears can run together. All right, so got some red Loctite here. We're going to go ahead and take this pinion out, or not the pinion, the grub screw. And we are going to saturate this thing. If you're worried about it never coming back out, don't worry, because it will come loose. They come loose, and I don't know why. It's just always done it. I think because motor temps get so hot that it melts the Loctite out of it. So I grabbed some gears. The X-Max actually has a 54 tooth. And I know one of my X-Maxes, I run a DGM gear. Don't buy the hot racing gears, in my opinion. Here's a 46 hot racing gear. As you see, all the tips of the teeth are gone. This is soft metal. They're meant to strip out, and they do strip out. So I don't buy the hot racing gear. DGM gears is the way to go. But one of my X-Maxes has a 50 tooth with a 20 tooth pinion. And then the other one's got a 46 with an 18 tooth. So that's the way I run my X-Maxes. That's the gearing I like. And because of those tires, they backflip. And that keeps the tire from blowing. If you're going to gear it way up, you're going to be blowing tires. Just wanted to show that. So we got the gears swapped out. Next thing I want to make sure, because this mesh does seem kind of loose to me. So I'm just going to pull the motor and then check it. So on the bottom here should be four screws down in there. God, those are way in there. Oh, look. I did break the... Gotta show you guys this. Look at that. So this cover that covers the drive shaft, this is the second cover I've seen shattered. Now this could be landing on rocks, could be landing on all kinds of other stuff, but I think these pieces are going to be breaking a lot. I think maybe an aluminum cover might be the way to go if you're going to be slapping the chassis like that. But definitely got a breakage on the bottom of this thing. But let me, where's the light? Once you line it up, it's okay. But lining it up, man, that is way in there compared to the X-Max. So I'm going to support the motor now. So grab the 3 other screws. I just want to make sure that the pins... God, that pin is really shallow. So let me bring you in there. We'll look at the pins. All right, so it says stock H. So it does have a spot for speed. This one's got 4 spins, so this says speed. And then you leave the other 2 pins where they're at. It's stock and speed. The pins on the right side, you moved them closer. Now that side came out. There we go. So it takes a minute to seat it in properly. There we go. Now I'm going to get it bolted down. Alright, so the other thing I'm going to do is add washers to this. An oversized washer. to the motor screws, because the X-Max has a tendency of ripping those screws out, and this one is going to be the same. All right, so I went ahead and got the XRT back together, so it's gonna ready to rip. I'm gonna run it with the holes here, because the hole here doesn't go into the drive shaft area. If it were starting to get rocks and debris in where the drive shaft runs, that would be a major issue, because if a rock jams in there, even a pebble, if it gets jammed around that drive shaft when it's turning, it could cut it and then eventually snap it. So here, these two holes are definitely just vent holes to stop debris from, I guess, collecting in the steering area, is what their intentions were, putting these slots in here. But that is creating a weak spot. Not only that, I think this whole cover is pretty weak. Compared to the design of the original X-Max, as you see right here, this has got a reinforcement right down the center, so the plastic's not perfectly straight across. It's actually beveled right here for those hard landings. On top of that, this area here is a sealed bucket. Now, I've never really experienced rocks or anything jamming up in the steering on the X-Max. I have experienced it with Arrma's 3S and 4S line. Those seem to get jammed up with rocks all the time. But on this RC, I've never really experienced that. I don't know if people were having that issue, and that's why Traxxas decided to put those holes there. But as you see, this is a pretty good hole. Now, is it possible it landed on a rock? I mean, it's possible. I don't check the surface area everywhere of where I was running, but the whole reason I run in that area is because, you know, we are around a mountainy area, and that's more of a sandy area for me, versus the hard rock like the deserts that I go to, like Big Bertha. Big Bertha's got hidden rocks everywhere in that sand. But I think I'm gonna pop this thing off and see how thick this cover is. I know the original X-Max is pretty thick. This is only the second one I've seen broke. Heavy Metal RC, I'll put a link in the description. He did a video, I think he landed on a rock over here, and I'll put a picture up now, but check out his video. It's a pretty funny video. Of him making fun of a few different things. Definitely adults only. Let's see, is that all of them? Do I need to loosen these ends? Normally, unlike the X-Max, you can slip it in over there. Well, let's take a look at the other side of this. Let me get these screws out of here. So, as you can see, right here, the bracing is amazing. But right where it broke, it did have a brace going across. There was a support brace right there. It broke on the support brace. This looks like another weak area if you land on something right here, which that seems to be where the servo is. So this is the servo support, and if you nail that, you're going to nail right on top of your steering servo. The drive shaft is up a lot higher than it is on the X-Max. So this chassis and the bulkheads, the complete chassis is different from an X-Max. And you can tell that by this center section here. So But, I mean, it looks like a pretty beefy piece. Hopefully it was just one of those accidents. And then you can see there's a support here in the cover supporting the drive shaft from bending now. So that's pretty cool. So that's going to lock in and stop that drive shaft on those hard flexes from bending. But that's a lot of webbing in here for this cover. I don't know. Hopefully it was just a fluke. That's why we do all this. That's why I do all this testing, is so that you guys don't have to. But we'll keep an eye on this stuff. I am going to get this part replaced. But it's not going to stop me from running it. And that screw is definitely stripped. So that screw was stripped from the factory, but is what it is. It happens. So I'm going to get all these screws back in. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for the Big Bertha video. I will be sending this off a big jump. And like I said, Big Bertha, not many RCs have ever survived that place. Every one of my RCs have broken at that spot, because it's a big send-it spot. But if you want to test durability and the weak link to your RC, that's sometimes what you got to do, is send it. Do I suggest everybody do it? No. But it's going to be entertaining. And hopefully it survives. But there we go. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching.